I often get asked, what is the best place for a UXer to work, whether that's a startup, an agency, or in big tech? Well, I made a fun little chart that I think you'll enjoy making on your own, comparing all the different elements of the work experience and what that was like for me. And I'm going to provide a template at the end so you can create your own. First, I'm Erin Essex. I've been working in UX for quite some time now at an agency and a startup, but mostly in big tech for the last few years, where I worked at Shutterstock, MongoDB, and currently at Google. I also teach UX on the side and have been doing so for about 3 years now, and I love helping adults transition their career or upskill in UX itself. My mission here is to cut through a lot of the noise and BS out there about UX and tech and give you the true boiled down information that is worth your time. So let's get into it. This is the chart that we're going to end up with, but I'd love to take you on the journey of my career path along the way. I'll make another video about my full story and journey at some point, but just know they're going to happen in mostly this order. So my primary starting experience was in agency. So from here, I'm looking at a few different types of lenses. So one is overall company culture. Are we spending time as a group? Do we have little happy hours? They can be NA, lunches, maybe merch stuff, that kind of stuff that just, isn't maybe necessary per se, but makes you feel really, really good and part of the company. We also have people here, just overall, are they people that are kind or have really good expertise, or are they kind of toxic and negative? So that's another really important vertical to look at. Product passion. Now this is one that we don't always get the privilege to work on things that we're passionate about. It's just part of the deal, and that's totally fine. I've worked on many things and done a really good job without being totally nuts about the product. But it's kind of nice when you do have that opportunity, and it makes work just a little bit more fun. So I wanted to measure that as well, because that is an important one to me. Total comp, also known as TC. This is going to be your combination of your salary, maybe stocks, and other kinds of bonuses you might get throughout the year. Investment health. Do they offer a 401k, or do they offer over the amount of stock that you would normally get in a different company, so you can make up for a 401k, which happened in one of these companies? But overall, how am I looking investment health-wise? I want to see if I can move up that retirement age, if we can. And then lastly, here is career growth opportunity. So every single one of these helped launch me into the next company or the next part of my career. But are there growth opportunities within the company itself? Are there opportunities that otherwise I might not have had I not had this job? So these are the different kinds of verticals that I'm looking at for each one of these companies. So I'll go here mostly in order. It's going to be backwards, of course. And we'll end up with this end chart here at the end, comparing all the different experiences. But let me take you through them one by one and give you some context. So starting out here with agency, I worked at an agency for quite some time. And although I'm not naming them here, it's just important to know that we are working on lots of different projects at once. We can't necessarily do research. And when we hand off the project, sometimes the client loses funding, or they change all the typefaces to Comic Sans. Whatever the case may be, agency work can be really rewarding, but it's also very challenging from a UX perspective. So you see here how I ranked culture overall. We had a great time planning events and going go-karting and hanging out after work and lunch and such. People were amazing, but there were also some people that were not that amazing, so I kind of averaged it out to here. Product passion, some of the things we worked on were really freaking cool. Other times it's just building websites. So sometimes you'd have that mix, and it's really stressful. But there was a few products that really made it. Some of the drone products that we started working on, and even the agriculture products that we worked on, actually became larger organizations. So that's pretty neat. Next is total comp. So we weren't compensated a lot for that. We didn't have, I think we had a 401k, but it was very small. And there was not really any bonuses. I think it's just an end of the year kind of party thing. It was more than pizza, but yeah. So I'm not complaining there, but it was definitely much lower than what you see at these bigger tech companies. Investment health I ranked as a 1. I don't really recall that we had a substantial 401k or bonus program, as I just mentioned. And then career growth opportunity, I marked it halfway. This was really pivotal in helping me launch into where I am today and learning a ton of skills, especially communication, to get there. The hard skills were there, but the client management, the selling, the telling a story stuff was something that I really grew from that. So let's transition to startup, which is a little bit different. So when I tell my full story, you'll hear about how with nothing lined up, I quit my agency job because I just wanted to do research. I wanted to iterate on a product. I wanted to see things through. So I freelanced for a while and eventually got picked up by this startup who I won't name here, but it was an app that was pretty popular prior to TikTok/Musical.ly taking over the scene. But anyway, so here we're looking at culture of 2. There was a lot of weird toxic things that were happening. We did hang out of work, but it just felt really forced. And so I think the culture and people kind of go hand in hand here. There was some amazing people, but there was more people that, product passion, I put it as a 2. I mean, I liked the product. I thought it was fun, but it was really difficult to work on given the other 2 lenses here. And so although I think I did a really good job working on this product, despite those constraints, it still was hard for me to get into it. Total compensation, this was more of a freelance kind of contract. And so there was really nothing outside of what I was billing hourly. So that leaves me to an investment health of 0 because there was nothing additional they were providing. It was up to me to save and save for taxes and all that. And I didn't really do a good job of that. So I should have been billing way more than I was, and I didn't think about that at the time. But anyway, needless to say, investment health is 0 here. So career growth opportunity I marked here as a 1, mostly because there was a lot that I did there that helped me get the next opportunity. And so that's really important. And going back to the agency, all the skills I learned helped me be better at helping this startup kind of get their footing in the next part of their iteration. So I think there was a lot there. I clearly am a little clouded by my full experience at this startup, which is why their blob is so small, but hopefully that explains it a little bit. Great, so let's move into the next one, which is actually Shutterstock. So here, culture was fantastic. We had a lot of events. We would do live demos, sprint demos. We would do open mics. We celebrated each other's birthdays very frequently. There's just a lot happening in the office and the culture was fantastic. And that said, the people were, for the most part, fantastic as well. I think when I meet up with my Shutterstock friends, it's pretty incredible how much we all kind of gelled and got along, and people were, for the most part, really kind, which is great. Product passion, I had been using Shutterstock for years, and so it was so cool to finally work for a company that had a name that people recognize. Although a lot of times people tell me it's I work for Shutterfly, and I'm like, no, I work for Shutterstock. But anyway, total compensation was good. I was finally getting to a point where I was making more, and it was exciting to see that start to grow, and especially how quickly they advanced me there. I was able to grow that comp even within the couple years that I was there. Investment clearly had a 401k. We had a bonus. It was smaller, but still very, very privileged to get a bonus for the first time in my life. And then career growth opportunity, I marked as a 4 because they just advanced me really quickly. They were able to see my managerial experience in the agency, overall strategy design that I've done throughout my career, and I don't know, pushed me up to a director pretty quickly. So I felt that my growth path there was really good. But of course, as you can see, spoiler, ended up leaving. And going to Mongo was an incredible experience. And I mean, not at first, it was a little rocky at first, but the culture, at least in my experience, I hear others have other experiences, but in my experience, the culture was fantastic. I feel like we gelled a lot with the other designers and engineers and people on my team. We went to events together all the time. all of that. So I felt like the culture there was, like, at least for me, really incredible. And they gave us quite a bit of budget to go do certain things. So one time I took my team to the zoo for a giraffe feeding experience. So it's pretty cool that they invest a little bit of extra money in the culture of the company so that we can have bonding experiences like that. People, I'm also going to rank pretty high. Of course, with any company, there's going to be people that, you know, but for the most part, the people there were also very incredible, very knowledgeable, and helpful. Product passion, ranking a little bit lower, although I feel like a lot of people don't realize how many apps on your phone are running MongoDB. It's pretty cool to understand that it is, and all the types of capabilities that MongoDB had. I worked in the education side, which is really teaching people how to use the product. And I don't know, I wasn't as passionate about it. I think I did a great job. I think that I helped move the team along. But at the end of the day, if you were to ask me how passionate I was, like, this is how I greeted it. Total comp was fantastic. They did a really great job of making sure we were compensated really well. They gave us a lot of stocks, which is why I also ranked investment health pretty high. So within here, we actually didn't have a 401k, which was fine because we were getting compensated quite a bit more with RSUs or stocks. So I didn't feel that that was a hurdle for me. Other people will disagree for sure, but that was my experience. And then career growth, same thing, started as a manager and was advanced really quickly to director there as well. So I felt like I really could have kept going had I stayed. But of course, spoiler again, ended up going to Google, which is the blue line here. And that was because, you know, I really feel that product passion is something that I wanted and needed in my career. But also, I'd been applying for 10 years, so it was like, finally, they want me back, right? Ooh, that sounds sad. Anyway, yeah. So I'm very fortunate to have been able to transition over. So culture-wise, it feels a little bit different. People, I think, are also very fantastic. They communicate well. They try to get ahead of things. Product passion, I mean, of course, it's going to be a 5. I have been wanting to work on Google products for a long time. I started in ads and now I work within YouTube, also within ads capacity. So it's pretty cool. Total compensation, it was a little bit lower than Mongo, as you can see. And that just reflects, you know, I had to take a step backwards. I'm not a director at Google. I'm actually an individual contributor, which is called an IC. And so that compensation changed there a little bit. But we do have a good 401k program and bonus program, which is why you can see that the score reflected higher in investment health. And then lastly, career growth. I feel like there's a lot there. It's a little harder to get promoted at Google, and it's not going to happen nearly as fast as it did for me at these other 2 companies. And I totally understand that with the size of the organization, but it is something that I have to think about. However, it's probably fair to mark this actually as a 5 now that I think about it, because I had defined it earlier as opportunities that this might lead to. And let's be honest, when you have a big logo on your LinkedIn, doors open for you that might not otherwise be opened. So yeah, I need to change that one. I just did. Well, cool. Well, hopefully you enjoyed going on that journey with me of my career, at least 5 of the big experiences that I had. Product passion, as well as people and culture are my top 3 things. Of course, everything in here is incredibly important. I really hope to see what you map. I will provide this template for you, and I hope that you decide to fill it out and share it with me. Maybe think about, I don't know, if you're looking at your next opportunity, or if you're just getting into the field, what you might be most interested in. With that, we will see you next time.